So with inventory sitting on the market now for a lot longer than it used to, we have this unique and incredible opportunity for homeowners. So it all started for me about 10 years ago when I was watching one of those HGTV flipping shows, and you watch these people take this house that's completely dilapidated into this like beautiful masterpiece of a home that a buyer gets to move into and enjoy, and you see all the profits that they make. And I was thinking to myself, why can't I do this and help my clients? And so then it all started with Tom, and I went to Tom because he was a client that had a Rambler. It was about 1,700 square feet, and he was getting ready to retire from a successful career in the aerospace industry. And he wanted to move into a more ideal location and a nicer home, but it was questionable, like the affordability of moving into the new home based upon what we could get for his house in its current condition. And so I asked Tom, I'm like, hey Tom, like I have this crazy idea, like what'd you think about this? And so we started to walk through his house, and I'm like, man, I think that if we did this, if we did the paint, we got rid of the wallpaper here, we did all new flooring, carpet, we staged it, we did new light fixtures, we took care of all of your deferred maintenance, and the deck that is in disrepair, we need to fix that, and all the different things. I'm like, if we do all that up front, I really think that, you could make enough out of your sale that you're going to be able to go with Kathy and get the house you want in the location that you want. And so Tom is a pretty straight shooter, and I remember he looked at me and he just wanted to get to the bottom dollar. Being an engineer, he's like, how much? And so I said, well, I don't know, I think $25,000 to $30,000. Like, how'd you feel about that? And I think that if you do that, you're going to be able to like double in your net proceeds, what you're putting in. And his eyes got kind of big, and so he said, well, how long do you think it's going to take? And I said, probably 30 to 35 days to coordinate and do everything we're talking about in order to go on the market. And I remember he reached out his hand, and he shook my hand, and he said, let's get started tomorrow. And so sure enough, Tom ended up putting about 25, 30,000 into it, but he ended up netting about 60K more. He doubled his money. And so I got excited about that. I was like jacked. I was so excited for Tom because I was also helping him to get into, he and his wife, to get into the home they really wanted. And it's like, man, I love serving my clients in this way. And so I thought, man, if we can do that on this level, what if we took it up a notch and we did it like to homes here and found that sweet spot of like, what can you put in order to maximize and squeeze out what you can get out of it? What will a buyer pay for a beautiful turnkey home in specific areas? And so my next client that I approached with this opportunity was an attorney by the name of Jeff. So Jeff's house was pretty well lived in, like most. They'd lived in it a lot of years, raised 3 kids in the house, and had not done a whole lot to improve it or update it from the day they moved in. They were just so busy enjoying life. Well, they're gonna move across the country, literally, and they brought me in and were like, what do we have to do and how much will we get out of it? And I said, well, just to do the bare minimum to get it market ready, you're gonna need to drop some coin. But I think that if you put it a little bit more, say 60,000, then I think you're gonna be able to get an extra 120 out of this house versus what somebody would pay as is for this home. And so I pitched it to him. We walked through the home and we talked about the improvements, and I showed him some pictures and some design ideas, and he shook my hand, and Jeff was ready to go too. And so yeah, I spent about 35 days helping him declutter, depersonalize, and completely paint the interior, the exterior of the house, redo the kitchen, the flooring, some of the bathrooms, the light fixtures, the garage doors. The house needed a lot, but at the end of the day, ended up selling just shy of $1 million. And Jeff was so thrilled. He ended up netting probably $120,000 more out of the sale than he would have if he had just tried to sell it as is. And so the only place I was really getting stuck is I had all these amazing clients, but they didn't necessarily have the liquid cash sitting in their account like Tom and like Rob, where they can invest into their home prior to going to market and make all that additional net proceeds on the sale. And so I thought, man, I've got to find a way to help any client that has a home that's lived in or has deferred maintenance or has been really well lived in and somebody that wants to get top dollar out of their sale. And so I found this contractor that I've now partnered with, and they have this streamlined process. It's transparent, it's on a timeline, it's wonderful, they do a great job, and they cover all the materials and all the labor up front. They get paid, you know, when your house sells and when it closes. And so now it's opened up the opportunity to help any client that has a home that would like an evaluation and would like to know what they net out of it by improving it, and we can now help anybody and every seller that meets the criteria for them. So if you're interested in that, please share the story if you know somebody that is in that situation, or if you're interested in having us evaluate your own home, we'd be happy to take a look at it. Just click the link below, fill out the form, or text top dollar. We look forward to connecting with you soon.